May we enjoy lasting peace and happiness.
I truly believe in hurt people, and healed people heal others.
What inspired you to get on the journey that you're on today?
I felt like I hit rock bottom with my health journey where no doctors could figure out what treatments to do. Nothing was working. I was in debilitating pain. I was in my early 20s. I thought, is this what the rest of my life is going to look like?
You also channel light language.
Tried to record it and later dissect or, any of the stuff my brain would want me to do. But it just felt freeing. It felt natural. It felt very vulnerable for sure. Even now I'm choking up because I'm I don't know how to talk about it.
The lady that I'm talking about, right? My colleague, she could see fairies when she was younger.
So could I, yeah.
Yeah. How do they look like?
Well, I don't know if you know the song, have you seen Gladiator?
Yeah.
So you know the song at the end? It's called Now We're Free. And it's a song that is spoken completely in tongues. It's of no language. I know so many people who are not necessarily into holistic health or spirituality or any of that who have heard this song and it makes them cry like a baby. I later met so many other people who love this song so much and nobody knows what they're saying.
On today's podcast, we have the incredible Tania Lodhi, founder of Tanya's Tea House, one of the most popular tea houses in Dubai, with us. Born in the US and raised in Dubai, Tanya's life took a very significant turn while she was studying in the University of Toronto, where she was diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder. Instead of letting this affect her, she decided to turn to the healing power of teas for mind and body. And once she realized the power of healing teas, she decided to turn this as her mission to spread awareness about ancient healing techniques to the rest of the world. Tanya's Tea House is personally one of my favorite tea houses in Dubai as well. It's a sanctuary where beautiful aesthetic meets holistic health. It was a fascinating conversation where we spoke about channeling light language, the fact that Tanya could see fairies, how it was for her coming from an Islamic background to embrace spiritual practices, the healing power of being authentic, tips on self-love, how to start a business as an entrepreneur and a creative, and the importance of peace and love. So if you're looking for some inspiration or tips on self-love, this is the perfect episode for you. Grab your favorite cup, sit down, and let's dive into the world of Tania Lodhi and Tanya's Tea House. When I went to your cafe, I saw the books that you read. So I'm like, okay, this person is actually reading about it. They know what they're talking about.
People don't realize that there's a whole range of herbal teas. You could be drinking chamomile, lavender, converting non-tea drinkers, or people who are like, oh, I don't really like tea. Isn't chamomile just for when you sleep? And I'm like, no, actually, you can have chamomile with lavender and with ashwagandha. It helps with erectile dysfunction. It helps with women who have difficulty with lubrication. Even the act of sipping tea, it's an act of patience.
Marketing coaches would give you have to niche down.
Yeah.
And that was so difficult for me because my interests keep changing every time.
You'd be horrified to know the amount of tea brands that if you put their, I won't name any names, but if you put their teas under a microscope and the rate of finding things like cigarette butts.
Hey everyone, today I'm super excited to welcome Tania Lodhi onto the Celestevolve podcast. Welcome Tanya. How are you doing today?
Good, what about you?
Good. So today I was just telling Tanya about how divinely guided this interview has been. I woke up in the morning with a sort of warning from my guide saying that, you know what, just be careful. You might miss the podcast. You might miss the timing. You might be late for the podcast. And I woke up panicking, thinking, okay, what happened? And then again, I realized that my battery of the phone had died. And that's why. So I went, set up the alarm. And by their grace, by the blessings, we're all here. And it's like Tanya has the same name as mine, as you know, even the spelling mistake, we always have, whenever we talk about our spelling, they say that isn't it supposed to be a Y, but it's an I. So Tanya, I'm super excited to have you here, and tell me, what is it what excites you now these days?
Peace excites me. Feeling safe in my body, feeling safe in my space. Honestly, having quiet time and having peace is what excites me. And that might be a boring answer, but I think it's so underrated.
None of this is boring. And I think if you come and if you listen to a lot of the spirituality podcasts, the cliche things are what we stress upon over and over again, which is peace, love, self-love. And love is something that is spoken about
in so many different iterations, yet it's still highly misunderstood.
100%.
So, Tanya, you have a cafe where you sell or you set up, you have these ceremonies in the cafes as well. I saw a lot of them these days. I saw the cacao ceremony happening at the cafe. And you also have a lot of herbal teas in there. Something that I have not come across with so much authenticity, and when I went to your cafe, I saw the books that you read. I picked up the books. I opened the books and I saw there were scribbles of your notes, your post-its, I think, all of those. So I'm like, okay, this person is actually reading about it. They know what they're talking about. Can you tell us what inspired you to get on the journey that you're on today?
Sure. So, it's been about 10 years now. But basically, I was in a hard place in my life where I was diagnosed with, well, actually, at that point, I was diagnosed with some sort of autoimmune condition, but they didn't know what it was and what the cure was. So, I felt like I hit rock bottom with my what's the right word, health journey, where no doctors could figure out what treatments to do. Nothing was working. I was in debilitating pain. I was in my early 20s. I thought, is this what the rest of my life is going to look like? And I went through a huge rabbit hole of holistic health, realized how we've forgotten ancient medicine that is so prevalent in my culture and everyone's culture that, our grandparents have been telling us about for so long. I kind of abandoned all my traditional medical roots and went into teas, went into holistic remedies, went back to the basics, really. So, yeah, that was kind of the beginning for me to look at what I was eating, to understand the magic that we could have with tea, looking at all the different ingredients, realizing that tea isn't just, black, green, or chai, but, we have teas with tomatoes and cucumbers in them. We have teas with all sorts of flowers and, every tea is beautiful in its own way, but can help you with something different. So I went into that rabbit hole. I started looking at teas that helped with inflammation, helped with my particular health ailments, realized the mental health benefits of teas as well, and kind of realized I've been doing everything wrong. So I went back to my teas, and that's kind of what started my journey for me.
When you talk about your health issues that you were facing, right? What was that first time? You must have gone to a lot of doctors, I assume, right?
Yes, I had.
And you probably got not so good advices.
And was prescribed a lot of heavy medications, none of which would have helped long term. Yeah.
And then what inspired you? What was what was that first moment you decided to navigate and try something else, like go herbal or go natural? What was that first? How did it get started?
That's a good question. I'm trying to remember it wasn't one specific moment.
Yeah.
It was more of when I felt in my gut that this medication wouldn't help me. I felt in my gut that this wasn't right. And I knew it was something deeper. I knew intrinsically that my mindset had to change, everything, that all the trust I was putting into doctors, all the trust I was putting into medication, I had to start with that trust in myself, in my body, feeling safe in it. And, it's, I don't have a specific moment, but it was a built up of, when you're sitting in something, you know what you need to do. And you're like, but I'm doing all the right things, but really you're not listening to your gut. And that's where I had to start.
They say that usually diseases happen maybe when there must have been an incident that happened in life. Were you going through something at that point of time that
No, to be honest, not that I was consciously aware of at that time. I think being an empath as well comes with its own kind of set of baggage that you learn to set boundaries. You learn to, not feel guilty about everything going wrong in the universe. So it was a lot of stuff like that I had to kind of unpack, and it was a lot of inner work that I had to look into. So it wasn't one specific thing. It was more of, I guess, building up over time.
When I started to, I made something felt wrong about everything that was happening for me. I think the war, I talk about it on the podcast all the time. When the war between the Gaza and Israel that started, there was this deep feeling where I felt like I had to do something about it.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what. And then I had also gone through a divorce. So I broke up with God. And then I told God, you know what, I don't think all of this is true. There's only physics. I'm only going to do quantum physics. And then at one point I decided that, I'm going to like challenge God. If this is true, like prove it to me. That takes a lot of courage to challenge God.
Absolutely.
I thought he would actually come down in my bedroom or something. But once I did that, then it was like how you said, it was these little signs. Maybe a podcast would pop up, maybe a book would come up, maybe a reel, maybe someone would say something. So it's never this one thing.
Exactly. It's all these cues from the universe, if
Yeah.
anything. Yeah.
All of these little cues. You spoke about how you started the medicine. You also got into ceremonies and all of those kind of things. How did that start? When was that first moment that you decided to try something out? Because I think you need a lot of courage to do something like that.
I think the minute I realized that I need to just be authentic with my treatments, with my personal life, with my hobbies, with, things that feel good to me, even if they're not the norm in this day and age, I think kind of embracing that, harnessing your creative gifts and your using song, dance, plants, people around you, women's circles, all of that stuff kept calling to me. And I feel like I was a bit hesitant at first because I thought, will this mean I'm woo-woo? And like at this point, I feel like I'm woohoo. So, so yeah, I think a lot of it is growing up and realizing that you're lucky to find what makes you feel authentic. And it's a privilege actually to feel at home in your body, to feel at home in your space. And I think the second I took out all the distractions and the noise and just did what felt right, automatically I started meeting more people that believed the same things as me, or like you said, sometimes a podcast pops up or this or that, and the universe was giving me little cues that there is a whole community out there, and you can find your tribe, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it
so
does.
I think that was. Sorry, I forgot what your question was actually, and I went into a wormhole.
That's all right. Can you talk about your childhood? So we are both based in Dubai, right?
Yes.
So you've been here all your life, or what was it like?
So I was born and raised in the US, actually. So the first 10 years were there. I moved from state to state, like about 4 different states in the span of 10 years. And then we moved to Dubai thinking it would just be for 2-3 years with my dad's contract. That 2-3 years became 4. Next thing you know, my parents still live here. My sister's here. I'm here. We're all, married, have our own lives, but we're settled in Dubai. So, yeah, I mean, I think of Dubai as home now, and I think I'm a Dubai kid.
Talking about your religious background.
Sure.
So what is that like? Because we are in Dubai. It's a Muslim country. I'm a Christian. So for me, we don't believe in reincarnation. Aliens obviously don't exist. And for you also, like you're from Muslim background as
Yes.
well, right? So it must be quite difficult for you to come out of this woo-woo closet. What was that like?
Hi there! My mission with this podcast is to create a space filled with love, peace, and hope, especially for those of you who are tired of viral and extreme content that floods our feed. To make this vision a reality, I'm bringing together a team of professionals who is going to help spread this message of hope far and wide. But I can't do this alone. I need your help. And here are 4 ways you could help with this movement. Number 1, turn on those bell notifications. Be the first to comment and engage, because that initial engagement and likes help the YouTube algorithm share a message with more viewers. Number 2, send this message to your family and friends who you think would resonate with our uplifting messages. Number 3, consider making a donation. Number 4, subscribe to the channel. As a working single mother who is on a mission to spread this movement, I truly appreciate your support. Together, let's be the catalyst to bring heaven on earth. Thank you so much for being a part of this journey. Now let's get back into the podcast.
Talking about your religious background.
Sure.
So what is that like? Because we are in Dubai. It's a Muslim country. I'm a Christian. So for me, we don't believe in reincarnation. Aliens obviously don't exist. And for you also, like you're from Muslim background as
Yes.
well, right? So it must be quite difficult for you to come out of this woo-woo closet.
What was that like?
So it's interesting because, I mean, I feel like my faith in God is as the strongest it's ever been. I feel very... Ooh, I have to think about my answer for a second. Sorry.
Take your time. Take your time. It's okay.
I think at this point of my life, I'm open to believing anything. I think we all need to be open-minded. I think there's a veil that we have that, you know, we might not see. We might not... Sorry, it's hard. I'm getting tongue-tied.
Because it's not an easy question, right?
Yeah.
Talking about faith.
For sure. And especially because, you know, everyone has very different opinions, and that's okay. And I think it's beautiful to have diversity in beliefs. You know, I have a very close relationship with God. It's my motivator behind everything. It's to please him and to please myself in that too. And I feel like once you focus on the oneness of God and the oneness that we're all connected, and looking at that aspect of religion, the connectedness, and that's what I was always craving. I was always craving to feel connected, whether it be nature or God or both, which at this point, it's all one for me. And I think once you unlearn the separation is when you feel really at peace with your beliefs. And yeah, I'm a proud Muslim, and I love my religion. I'm very passionate about Sufism, and I think it can be very hard to talk about because, as you said, with things like aliens and reincarnation, which, you know, I'm open to. I love reading about this stuff. I have my own beliefs surrounding that too. But, you know, in this day and age, everyone wants to box you in, and it's hard to, like, I don't fit in a box.
Yeah. You know, when I was doing content creation too, the advice that all of these marketing coaches would give you is you have to niche down.
Yeah.
And that was so difficult for me because my interests keep changing every time.
Absolutely.
Like today it would be something, tomorrow it would be something else. And then the marketing coaches would shame you for changing it, right? Every time. And I guess that's one of the things that helped me when I got into the spirituality part of the podcast. When I listened to the podcast, or, you know, you said that you are now reading a book on conversations with the Z's.
Yes, I love it.
Love the book. So they give you this sort of confidence to explore.
Exactly.
Tell me about it. Tell me about the book. What do you think about Conversation with the Z's or Lee Harris?
Honestly, it's fascinating, and I feel like my conscious brain doesn't really understand all of it, if I'm being very honest, especially considering the Z's are not one person that you're speaking. Like, even just, you have to remove that layer of, God, I can't even eloquently explain it, but you have to kind of unlearn everything that you've kind of been taught, and you have to kind of wear this lens of open-mindedness where I can't really fathom what that means for the whole concept of it. I can't really fathom, but something deep in me, it resonates.
Yeah.
And, you know, that might sound so obscure, but it's kind of the whole focus on the message, not the presentation kind of thing, where I understand what they're saying without having to have my brain understand it, if that makes sense.
It makes total sense.
Sorry, I'm not answering this correctly at all.
No, it makes total sense because do you know Matthias Di Stefano?
I don't know.
Okay. So there is this guy named Matthias Di Stefano. He's very popular in the spirituality community because he remembers every single one of his past lives.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah. So he remembers everything. And for me, it was just like what you were speaking about, conversations with the Z's, right? For me, it was one podcast that I watched of Matthias talking about the 12 dimensions. He explained the dimensions, and I did not understand anything that he was explaining because it was too complicated.
Yeah.
But I knew that this is the truth.
Yes, exactly. You need to send me this later so I can also read or listen to it.
For sure. Matthias Di Stefano. So he would explain about like dimensions, for example. I'll just tell you this one thing. So he's saying that the bottle over here, okay, if I sit and look at the bottle, this is 3D. Or maybe this is like if I sit down, this is 3D. If I put this down and look from the top, it looks like a circle. right? If there is someone who is watching the bottle,
Okay.
that's another dimension.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, so that's how he explains. And then there was also when you say the Z's also, right? You said that it's hard to understand, where it's like, how is it that there are multiple people all resonating with the same voice? And you know what was explained? This was explained by, I think, Bashar. Bashar was saying, I'm not sure, or maybe it was the Z's itself, maybe the Z's itself. They said that, let's say there's a husband and a wife living together in the same house. The first year, probably they would have different opinions. But after 20, 25 years, they would both complete each other's sentences, right?
Yeah.
So they become one consciousness.
Yeah. I see where you're getting at that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what the Z's reminded me of it.
That's so interesting.
So these are beautiful stickers created by Tanya. So I think I'll just focus it in here. Maybe, I hope I'm not moving too much.
Yeah.
Talk about this to us.
Sure. So, I mean, I grew up loving Lisa Frank. I don't know if you remember Lisa Frank. She used to make all these like sparkly stickers, and my sister and I would fight over them when we were younger. And yeah, I just loved stickers. I just loved cute things that I could slap on everywhere. And I feel like that interest as you grow up turns into things like Tumblr and Pinterest, which, you know, were like a digital sticker board. And quite frankly, I just find stickers to be small touch points to either have a little laugh or to smile or to have a little reminder. So, yeah, I know that it sounds silly to be making stickers, it sounds so deep, but I don't know. Sometimes you can read a sticker and it's a little quote that might unlock something for you, or might change your perspective, or might just make you smile. And I think that's, it's a beautiful thing to be able to impact someone's day with a sticker like that. So
I love stickers.
I love stickers. And yeah, I designed them when I was bored one day and started selling them, and turns out other people like them too. So yeah, I guess now I need to make a new sticker sheet.
You know, these stickers, every single one of them, they are ones that I'm interested in, because we have the alien in here, and Tanya and I were talking about it. We will get into that. We have the alien, then we have the mushroom, then we have the rainbow, which is my daughter's favorite.
Oh, really?
My daughter loves the unicorn, you know.
So cute.
It's the unicorn god at home.
I love that.
Everywhere it's a unicorn. So there are some of the quotes that's mentioned, which is your favorite one, you said, was the journey is the medicine.
Yes.
Absolutely. I wanted to make stickers, but I'm not as talented as this Tanya in here.
I'll make you some.
These are so beautiful. Talking about, you said that you also channel light language. Do you want to dive into that and tell us how that came up? You know, take your time and explain what was ceremony like, and how did it feel like when it first came through? Because you know what? I know someone else who can channel light language in Dubai.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, to be honest, I think I haven't channeled enough to feel like I can be labeled as channeling light language yet, but I definitely experienced it. I'm still trying to make sense of it, or to allow myself to not make sense of it, if that makes sense. It just came out, if I'm being honest. It just came out when I wasn't thinking, if that makes sense.
Were you pursuing it at all? Did you even know what that was?
I didn't know what it is. I still really don't, if I'm being honest. I still don't. I'm not formally educated on it. I haven't read much about it either, but I think it's just, it's something that came out, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I spoke it with someone else as well, and they completely understood what I was saying as well. And I haven't tried to like record it and later dissect, or, any of the stuff my brain would want me to do. But it just felt freeing. It felt natural. It felt very vulnerable, for sure. Even now I'm like choking up, because I'm like, I don't know how to talk about it. It's, I don't know what.
So were you sitting someplace, and were you like in a meditative state or something, and then it came through? Like, what exactly were you doing at that moment?
I don't know if I can talk about it in the podcast.
You can. Don't worry. I have people who, so I guess this is one of the things that is quite common in this part of the world, or where we are afraid to talk about things that is there in our brain. because of the fear that has been induced by the rules in religion. However, all the religious books, texts, they are deeply rooted in something that we can't understand. Rules are something that men brought up, so it would be just easier to control.
Very true.
Very easier to control. But there's stuff that cannot be explained by words, which is what light language does. Light language is the language of the soul. So when you speak in light language, apparently my soul would understand.
Exactly. It's like speaking in tongues. I think that's another phrase.
Same
for
thing,
it, right?
yes, yeah.
So I don't know if you know the song. Have you seen Gladiator?
Yeah, I
So you know the song at the end. It's called "Now We're Free," and
Okay.
I think it's by Hans Zimmer. I don't want to butcher it, but it's a song that is spoken completely in tongues. It's of no language
Is it?
on this earth, at least. And it is so beautiful. You have to listen to it after. But I know so many people who are not necessarily into holistic health or spirituality or any of that who have heard this song and it makes them cry like a baby. And I mean, I think that's the only reference I knew before of light language, is knowing that the song was spoken in tongues, and like I would sit and sing it. I don't even know what the words are, but I would sit and sing it in the shower, or like it would like come up as a hum. And like I later met so many other people who love this song so much, and nobody knows what they're saying, but it's somehow touched people. And I don't know too much about this yet, but I've been reading about frequencies and vibrations, and how it's not even the words you're saying, it's the tones, the frequency, the pitch, and yeah, it just makes me believe all much more how literally manifesting things, or what you speak, has power. Words have power, even if those words our brains don't fully understand.
Just recently, I put my daughter into Bharatanatyam classes, and it excites me. I love classical music, okay? Then I came to know that in classical music, it's the sa, re, ga, ma, pa, right?
Yeah.
Apparently, each of that tone is for each chakra.
Really? I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
exactly.
Oh,
That's
wow.
what. So, which is why classical music, if you listen to it, it would evoke a certain emotion, and it's also healing.
That's amazing. Even with prayer, like doing child's pose, connecting your forehead with the ground, and what now we can just say is actually grounding yourselves. Forget the actual ritualisticness of prayer. The actual movements are healing. It's yoga poses as well. So
That is the child's pose, the balasana. That's something I also felt, because in Muslims, when they pray, they do that a lot of the time, and it's very calming.
Yes.
It's one of the most calming poses to
100%.
do. My favorite too.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. And when you talk about the light language, right? I was at work and I was speaking to my colleague. And I asked her, so what I do is, right? So I try to, give a little bit of I give like a trailer view to all of the people that I meet to see how much are they into this.
Yeah, gauging the woo-ness.
Yeah. How much is it? So with Tanya, she gave me this sticker. I'm like, yo, why did you put the alien over here? And then it just opened up. So I asked my colleague, she's a Filipino, and she's probably around 47 years old. And I asked her, okay, what do you think about, like Bible? I started with the Bible. And then I got to know that she joined something called the Handmaids of the Lord, which is in Jabal Ali.
Oh, interesting.
And in Jabal Ali, what they do, all the nuns, they would come together, and Reiki, like I think they were doing some sort of a Reiki or something like that, but they would all come together and the people would start channeling.
Oh, wow.
They would start channeling the light language. So she said that she said that she was there and nuns were praying over her, and suddenly there was this sort of burning feeling that came from her solar plexus.
Oh, wow.
And it came up, and then she started speaking out light language. She did not understand what she was talking. And at the same time, there was another lady at the corner of the room who also started channeling light language, and she could understand what she was saying.
Wow. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's so, so beautiful.
It's you can't explain it.
I was just going to say, it's unexplainable. It's so hard to explain it, but in that moment. Like if I look back and try to remember hearing light language and what did it actually mean, I don't remember. But like I know in that moment, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's magical. I need to delve more into it. But yeah, it's unexplainable.
And you also spoke about you think you have an association with the fairies, right?
I love fairies. Yes, I used to think I was one when I was a kid, and honestly, now I'm going back to my inner child, and I'm embracing it. I believe in, all sorts of mythical creatures and different beings. I want to be open enough to think that. I mean, I feel like it's arrogant to think as humans that we're the only Homo sapiens or whatever it is out there. So yeah, I have a strong affiliation with the fairies.
The lady that I'm talking about, right? My colleague, she could see fairies when she was younger.
Beautiful. So could I. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you could
Yeah.
see too.
Yeah.
How do they look like?
Sometimes they were big. Sometimes they were small. Some of them looked exactly like you'd think they would, and some of them did not.
Do you see
Yeah.
them here? Because what she said was she saw the fairies for the plants. So she was surrounded by plants.
wow.
So I guess there are different kinds of fairies. So she could see those fairies who would protect the earth,
Beautiful.
right? What do you know more about fairies?
I honestly don't. I don't know the technical terms or any. I just know what I used to see when I was a kid, or kind of what feels authentic, or what's come in dreams before, or like what. Definitely in like gardens and plants, I used to see them. Gosh, I'm trying to remember. I'm still trying to unlock all of my things I've suppressed as a child, thinking that they're silly or they're not true. So it's also going back and embracing that openness that you have, the curiosity and wonder as a child. But I'm fully open to believing anything at this point.
Did they? Looks like you were able to see through the dimensions, I guess. Like I guess that's not the word. You could see probably the other side. So did it scare you? Were your family open to it? Did you talk about it?
I honestly don't remember much, if I'm being very honest. I don't. I remember the childlike wonder of seeing them. I don't really remember speaking about it or talking to anyone about it. I definitely wasn't afraid, but I don't remember I don't remember more. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's been suppressed for so long, and we've been conditioned to think that all of this is, crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
When I was younger, I was completely into astrology, into space,
Wow.
right? But my mom said, you can pick any career which is on the planet Earth.
Only the planet Earth?
Yeah, so I became an engineer, but I wanted to go up to the space, she didn't let me do that. But now that so what happened was this last year I started the podcast because I was into all of these things, and I wanted at least one more person to join me in that cult.
Yeah.
Or else I was the only crazy one. And then I got these different people on the podcast. I recently even had an Oxford scientist on the podcast talking about
Wow,
aliens.
amazing.
So I told my mom, see, they're talking about it. Like, now
Yeah,
what?
now can I...
Yeah, so that's what happened. So the more we talk about it, the funny thing is that although initially it would seem like it's so overwhelming, because we have people talking about the Pleiadians and the Syrians and the reptilians and all of that, but then when maybe one person, when you say, it's challenging to believe it.
Yeah.
But what if we have like 100 people all saying the same thing?
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
More people are waking up as well. Yeah, it's a weird feeling of finding yourself back, or finding pieces of yourself that were missing. There's a fulfilling sense of feeling whole once you kind of embrace what you already knew as a kid, and what, going back to basics when it comes to health and health remedies, but also going back to basics when it comes to being a human. And yeah, I know that sounds so obscure, but like I just feel like it's there is a shift, and I think more and more people are yearning for that truth that they know is deep within them.
Yeah. You're holding a lot of these ceremonies, which probably you wouldn't have held a couple of years back, because I saw there's the cacao ceremony that's coming up.
Not at the cafe.
Not at the cafe. No. Oh, sorry. Where is that?
Which one?
Cacao.
Oh, sorry. I reposted someone else's. But
Oh, is it?
I would love to do cacao at the cafe at some point for sure, especially mixing dance. Like I think a lot of people think cacao ceremonies are quite quiet and, very personal, but there's also ceremonies you can do that involve dance and music. And I really want to bring these sort of practices in ways that don't feel intimidating and that feel very freeing and for the community. So do keep an eye out on the space. Hopefully we'll be doing them soon.
Beautiful. How do you think spirituality is evolving in this part of the world now?
I think it's definitely more fluid, and I think people are becoming more open-minded and accepting to a wide range of different practices. I think people are searching for something like this, and I think, there's so many different aspects of spirituality and different practices and different ceremonies and things that I've seen in Dubai, and maybe not every one of them has resonated to me, but it's nice to know that I can find the practices that do. So, I think it's an exciting space to be in right now, and I think there's so much out there, and it's becoming more acceptable. Yeah.
When you talk about teas, right? Teas are something that is, you're an expert at the teas. Is this something that can be made at home by people?
Yeah, absolutely. So, when we talk about tea, what is it? Tea is leaves, right? Either you're talking about green tea or black tea, but people don't realize that there's a whole range of herbal teas. You could be drinking chamomile, lavender, which isn't technically tea because that's a different plant, but this is also a different form of tea. So I think, even things like putting fennel in water at home with some ginger, that's tea. There's so many different household ingredients that you can use to make your own blends. That's what I've done at the cafe, is like taking things I like and custom blending them and offering them. But, we have, I've worked on different tea tastings and workshops too, where people can make their own. And it makes people feel so much less intimidated by the idea of tea when they're like, oh, okay, I can just have some peppermint and lavender and chamomile with some ashwagandha, and that's my tea. Yeah.
What is a tea? I'm going back to the basic, yeah? Because I thought tea is something, like you said, it's intimidating. I don't know much about teas, and I think that this is only something that's manufactured. But then when you say that you can just have fennel and ginger and all of that, and
that's herbal tea. So like fruits and herbs and plants that aren't necessarily the tea plant itself are considered tea. So there's and each culture has its own form of a tea as well. So it's tea is a universal culture, which is interesting.
Where do you source your teas from?
Yeah, so we have a private supplier in Canada that basically does all of the custom blending that we require. So we work with different tea estates around the world. They're all ethically sourced. We have about probably 80 different ingredients that we're working with for all of our flavors.
While I was at the cafe, Tanya's manager was explaining about the different teas, and that she took each of the teas and she showed that, see, this is what it is inside. You can see the what it is made of, and that it's not just some random rose flower from the streets. You have to go far away from the streets, which is away from the pollution, and then you pick the flowers. So that is something that I did not know.
Yeah, you can find a lot of bad tea out there. That's what's so important to me, is finding tea estates and that I can trust the quality of tea from, and making sure they're ethically sourced, there's no artificial ingredients. You'd be horrified to know the amount of tea brands that if you put I won't name any names, but if you put their teas under a microscope, and the rate of finding things like cigarette butts and hair and other non-edible items in them is alarming. So there's a whole process involved with, making sure that the tea is purely tea in its form and doesn't have all these other gross things in it.
Interesting. So when you began your healing journey, how did you know what were the teas that would benefit you? And maybe can you talk about some, maybe there's like, let's say someone's stressed out, or is there some blends that you can help our audience with? Maybe they can make at home?
Yeah, sure. Sorry, what was the first part of your question again?
So when you began with the healing journey, right?
Yeah.
How did you know that this is the tea that is right for you?
Okay. So I got certified as a tea sommelier.
Where did that happen?
It happened online, actually, but I also got trained in Canada as well. I did a lot of self-research as well, a lot of trial and error, especially when it comes to all of the different ingredients in each tea, getting the ratios correct, making sure that that a certain tea is hitting all the sweet spots in terms of health benefits and helping me personally with ailments. So I've tried and tested all of our flavors, especially the ones that are good for combating inflammation. They've personally helped me in my journey as well. So I did a lot of research. Besides getting trained, I did my own personal research about my own autoimmune conditions and like health benefits for that as well. So understanding what actually helps your nervous system, what helps digestion, what I can see helps with inflammation visibly. You know, I would have swollen wrists or ankles, and after really having a good routine with my teas and my holistic remedies, I would see the results, and you know, it's fascinating. So I'm trying to think what tea to recommend for. It's really hard because we have like 50 different flavors of teas, and a lot of them help with inflammation, a lot of them help with migraines and nausea and this and that, but it's finding that one that you like too, because you know the phrase, you can't be everyone's cup of tea. No, I can be everyone's cup of tea. I will find one that you like, and yeah, it's a pleasure I have is converting non-tea drinkers, or people who are like, oh, I don't really like tea. Isn't chamomile just for when you sleep? And I'm like, no, actually, you can have chamomile with lavender and with ashwagandha and ginkgo, and it can actually give you an energized feeling instead of being tired. So, you know, there's a lot of misconceptions about teas, and I love debunking people's preconceived notions about them. So if you're talking about a tea for stress, my favorite tea at the cafe for this is called Cheerful Cherry. And it has ashwagandha in it, it has elderflower, it has cherries. And, you know, not many people know ashwagandha is magical. It can really help. You know, there have been studies comparing it with Xanax, and people who've taken ashwagandha long-term have had the similar benefits of anti-anxiety, anti-depression that they would have with Xanax. It's also a aphrodisiac. It helps with erectile dysfunction. It helps with women who have difficulty with lubrication. It's a really, really magical tea.
When I heard about ashwagandha for the first time through you, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And that's interesting because at the cafe, I think that the cafe, you said Anna is your manager,
Yes.
right? So shout out to Anna.
Woo, we love you.
So through Anna, I heard about ashwagandha, and then on your social media, on your stories also, I think you talk about ashwagandha a lot.
I talk about ashwagandha a lot. Yeah.
A lot. When I came in, you said that you should try out rose tea to me, right?
Which one? Sorry.
You just mentioned, I think, before we started the podcast.
Oh, Blue Lotus I asked you about. Oh, yeah. Which we
Right.
don't serve yet, but I'm getting on it. soon.
Okay. So when you see someone, do you think you can recommend the right tea for them? Like, do you sense something?
Honestly, at this point, I do. Like, I know, I think I'm saying it for the first time out loud with you, where I feel like sometimes I can see people and I can kind of sense what tea that they should have, or like, I just get a strong, like, inkling of, you know, they should really try this blend, or like, I feel like they need to like drop their shoulders and do something for their nervous system. Like I don't want to freak them out either or get a bad Google review. But sometimes I do get a sense, and a lot of times it's my own fear of like, oh, I don't want to approach them and tell them I think you should have this tea, or like, what if they think? But no, like I'm trying to embrace, you know, this confidence and belief in my creative gifts, or whatever, you know, anyone has. There's also a fear of greatness, I think, that we all have. It's hard to feel confident sometimes, or even approaching people with this. But yeah, no, I definitely do see people that I think they could really benefit from this tea. And more often than not, it ends up being a good conversation where they get it, and then I get a long-lasting customer after that.
So when you see me, what were the teas that you would recommend? And would you be able to break it down?
God, I feel like I'm put on the spot right now. But
Really?
I don't know why Golden Glow or Detox comes to mind when I think of you. It's ginger, turmeric, pineapple, and beetroot is our Golden Glow blend. That for some reason, that's the first tea I think of. It helps with cellular repair, so it's a very healing tea from a cellular level. It helps with digestion. It helps with glowing hair, skin, nails. It helps with mood. It helps with energy. It really helps with a spectrum of things. But it's a very feel good tea, and it has like a little spicy kick to it with a bit of sweetness. So. yeah, I guess I'm saying you're a bit sweet and spicy.
If you were to, let's say, one of the biggest misconceptions that people have when they talk about herbal or plant medicine, etc., is that
Yeah.
too much of it would have negative effect. Is that true? Like, if I have too much of the herbal teas, would it be bad?
Honestly, no. And unless you have a pre-existing condition that, maybe you have an allergy to curcumin, and then I wouldn't tell you to have turmeric or, every body is different, but we're talking about such small quantities here. I really don't see how you can OD on tea.
OD on tea.
Yeah.
I got the jar. I think what is that called? The one that you have in Tanya states. That's very unique. I've never seen
Is
it
it
before.
the teapot?
Yeah, the
Oh,
teapot.
the magic tea steeper.
Yeah, that teapot was amazing because
thank you.
I have that at my home now. So I can now put Tanya's blends.
Yay.
I think my favorite is definitely the golden glow is my favorite. But that teapot was so unique. You can
thank you.
put those ingredients, and it looks like it's plastic, but then the
Misconception.
it's on plastic, right?
So it is technically BPA free. It is Triton, which is a type of extremely hard grade plastic that is not the plastic that you think of. So the reason I don't use bone china teapots, which everyone always asks me why I don't, is because bone china over time retains the flavor. It soaks in the flavor of what you're having, so it can cause inconsistencies with flavor. It can be a bit unsanitary as well. So the type of steepers that I use dispenses from the bottom, is easy to clean.
Okay, we just had a quick break and now we're back. So we were talking about the teapots and how the material that you use, it's not plastic, but it's a grade of plastic.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm dumb about all of this, so please.
Oh, I'm not the most educated either, but of course with this I did my research because I wanted something that you could keep, like, to put it super uneloquently, I wanted a teapot that I can keep re-steeping, because I'm notorious for making tea and then it sits and gets cold because I forget about it. Or I wanted something easy and functional. And with our tea steepers, you just add in the tea leaves. There's a little drain and catcher at the bottom. When you dispense, it goes through the tea leaves from the bottom. Whereas a lot of times with the pots, the leaves sit at the bottom, and you're only getting the weak tea and not the actual depth from the leaves. So by dispensing from the bottom, it gives you a stronger cup. And if you put, say, a teaspoon or a teaspoon and a half of tea leaves in your steeper, sorry, I don't know why I can't even speak about it properly. I'm nervous. I'm being honest. Okay. Why am I nervous talking about something I've been doing for 8 years?
That's
just when you think you've solved something, you have to go back into it. So, yeah, I still need to.
What I like about the tea, because just like you said, I also just get tea and then I forget about it.
Yeah.
But the thing with the ingredients of Tanya's tea, and I have your blends as well at home. And when I was having, when I got the cough and the cold and all of that, there was a blend that was part of yours, which is called it has a lot of vitamin C. I don't know the name of it.
Detox, immunity elixir.
Immunity
elixir. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. So that one. So I was sipping on that, and it was very nice. It felt good. And I would keep refilling it. And what surprised me was I thought this is plastic, and you said that this is some grade of plastic, but it still holds the heat.
Yes, exactly. And it doesn't with bone china, a lot of times after washing it out, you'll still taste the residue of the tea from the last time that you would have. And because I drink so many different types of tea, sometimes I'll want a fruity tea or an herbal or a really spicy blend, and I don't want to taste the last time's tea in that cup. And especially because we don't use tea bags either, because those harbor a lot of bacteria, the bleach from the cotton, there's so many different ways you could get sick with tea bags, to be honest. I wanted something that felt easy, that I could that I use myself at home. I don't want to serve something that I don't myself use. So yeah, our tea steepers are quite popular, which is nice.
They're amazing. They're really good. I fell in love with herbal teas after coming to the cafe. After I heard Anna talk about it, I mean, of course, if you were there, you would have explained, the whole thing about it. But after she explained it, she took the time. Me and Anna, we spoke for 1 hour or something,
Oh my God. I love Anna.
She spoke about each of the tea. And I think in this podcast, we're talking a lot about Anna. Probably I should bring Anna on the next thing. So she spoke about each of the teas and the blends that's used. And that made me appreciate the tea more. Because when we buy these Lipton teas or whatever, we don't see what is inside and it's all the same color. So you don't appreciate the kind of ingredients that's used in it.
Exactly.
But when we see that this is what it is, there is a purpose for it. And then when you sip on the tea, and when you sip something with appreciation and more gratitude, it hits different.
Absolutely.
It's not like the Starbucks grab and go kind of stuff.
Even the act of sipping tea, it's an act of patience. You're sitting and waiting for something to cool down. While you pause, you reflect. It's an art on its own, the act of sipping tea. And I know that sounds so silly, but it's a lifestyle change, and it's something beautiful and for yourself. It's a big part of self-care for me, is drinking my tea.
Yeah, imagine sitting here having it would have been nice.
I should have brought you some tea. I'm regretting it now.
No, you won't be able to sip it. I think I'm going to pick it up on the bike. But imagine having a tea and just sipping on it and then getting the podcast being recorded. That would have been like beautiful.
Next time.
So, Anna, Tanya, we've spoken about Anna too many times. Tanya, we are coming to the end of the podcast, and we usually have something called the Cosmic Close, where I ask 2 questions inspired by Rupert Spira. Do you know Rupert Spira?
I don't know.
So he talks about duality, and he's on a quest to find out the answer to 2 very simple questions to life.
Oh, cool.
So I would ask the same to you, and you don't have to feel stressed out, just like whatever is the first thing that comes to your head. That's it. So the first question would be, how may we enjoy lasting peace and happiness? What do you think?
Wow. Sorry, I'm pausing just because I'm like, that is a big question. And there's so many things that come to mind. Okay, but you said don't be stressed and think of what the first thing comes. So the easy answer is to be kinder. Whether that is to be kinder to ourselves. It starts at home, right? Everything starts at home. So being kinder to ourselves, which will in turn make us kinder to other people. I truly believe in hurt people, and healed people heal others. So I think our most beautiful human ability is kindness. And I think by unpacking that is where we can start.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
The second question would be, what do you think is the nature of our reality?
Ooh. Our reality is our perception. Yeah.
It's simple.
Yeah, it is simple.
Love it.
Our perception is our reality. So
beautiful. So Tanya, where can we find more about you and the projects that you're undertaking, the work that you do?
On Instagram, if you follow the cafe, Tanya's Tea House, or if you follow me, I keep posting about my journey, about the business, of course, and then through our cafe Instagram account, we talk about what we do, our community activations, a bit of education on holistic health benefits of adaptogens and herbs. So, you can find all of that there on the gram.
Beautiful. Do you have any final advice for our listeners here of the Celestevolve podcast?
Ooh, I think this advice is for podcast members as well as for myself, but it's to embrace authenticity, which, going in today adds so much nerves, and you can see it on my face as well. But I think it's a constant reminder to just surrender and to let go, and to, if we were to do all this again, I'd be much calmer. But I think it's, we so easily get in our head about things. And, speaking for myself personally, being authentic in this day and age, it's hard to feel good about it. But, meeting people like yourself who, inspire to be authentic, to embrace the weird, to embrace, whatever it is. So, yeah, I think to just drop into it.
Especially for Tanya, who is so, you are someone who's so in the community, right? You're meeting so many people. So it could get, we could get into our heads a lot about, is this the right thing to do? And also the place that we are in, we live in a country where we do have to respect everybody's opinions and what they think. Absolutely. So it is challenging to be completely authentic and just go all out.
Exactly.
But you still did such a great job today. Thank you so much, Tanya, for coming and opening up to talking to me, to talking to us, and spending time with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was an honor.